Hey guys, Tyler here with Torx Guiding Service. I'm out here on Lake Travis today and it is hotter than the devil's dick. It's like 95 degrees outside. I am sweating like crazy. So anyways, I'm fishing one of my favorite summertime patterns and it's a great way to escape the heat. But this time of year, the fish are moving offshore. They're getting out deep, but you got a population of fish that lives in these marinas pretty much year round, but a lot of them will move into these marinas. Even during the middle of the day, they come in here because of the shade. So you can see I'm under covered marinas right now. And with the lake being super busy, there's not as many empty boat slips as there used to be, but there's still a few. And when you can find one of those, it's a very good place to look for suspended fish. Now, this is early summer when I'm out here. So something to take note with that is that the water temperatures are very hot, but not hot enough that a thermocline is formed. And if you're unfamiliar with that, look and research a thermocline, but essentially it's when the bottom of the lake that's full of cooler water separates from the top of the water column that's warmer water, and you get a divide in between where there is a big temperature difference. Below that, there will be less dissolved oxygen and less fish. They can't live in that. But since there is no thermocline, they will go deep, and they will go as deep as they want, even down to the bottom. So in this slip that I'm sitting in right now, it's about 80-ish feet. Forgot to take a look, but it's pretty deep. Anyways, I've caught fish all the way from 10 feet all the way down to like 70 feet. They'll be all over the water column. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be fishing for them using my electronics. Now, before we get into that, let me go over the 3 baits that I recommend for this. The first 2, and these are very similar, are spoons. I've got 2 spoons here. One is a Flutter Spoon. So you can see here I got a big Flutter Spoon. I think it's a 5-inch model. And a little tip for you guys fishing marinas, you'll notice I have a single hook on there. It's just an octopus hook. What I like to do is I remove that treble hook, and I do that so that if I hook a cable, this will come free easier. I can usually just jig it a bunch of times, and the weight of the spoon will get you loose from the cable, and you don't end up losing, you know, a $10 spoon. The other one I like to use, and this is when the fish are a little bit more finicky, is a jigging spoon. This is a smaller little cotton cordell, and a little tip for you is add a swivel to it. It helps with the line twist. But it's just a smaller profile. Now the key to fishing both of these is the fall. You're going to jerk the rod tip, and I'll show you that in a bit. But you want to let it fall on slacks line so that they flutter. Whereas if you keep it under tension as it falls, it's going to sink straight down. Doesn't have good of an action. So with that said, always be watching your line because they will hit it on the fall, and you'll just notice your line stops going down when it should be sinking. Set that hook. A lot of times you hook these fish when you go to jig it again, not realizing they have it. And the third bait, and this is my favorite, especially when they're a bit more lethargic and they're just kind of slowly moving under these marinas, is a drop shot. But instead, I use a small little fluke on here, and I just very lightly jig that down there. And I'll move this up and down the water column as I see the fish on the electronics. Like I said, this is a great thing to do in the summer because the fish move here for the shade. I move here for the shade because it's cooler. And it's a really fun way to catch them, and it's a little bit different. So let's get into that. Let me show you some stuff on the electronics here, show you how to fish these baits, and hopefully we can put one in the boat. So right now we're up here on the bow of my boat. I'm going to show you guys the setup for my electronics. And I get a lot of questions about this because I run 2 different brands of graphs up here, which is pretty common nowadays, but I run a Humminbird and a Garmin for the Panoptics. But I run both of them at the same time, and there's a reason for that. So let me show you guys what I got set up here. So here you'll see I got my Garmin on the bottom and my Humminbird up here. And when I'm running this, I like to run 2D sonar here, and I like to run my Panoptics here. And I've got it in forward mode, but even in forward view, you still see back and forth behind you. And I keep my range fairly close, 20 feet, because here we're vertical fishing. So I don't need to be looking all around me. I want to be able to see the fish as large as possible. So like right here, you can see the edge of the first dock here, edge of the break wall. Not too much underneath us at the moment. Now, come up here, I've got my 2D sonar on, and this is real important because especially when guiding with 2D sonar, it shoots down in a cone, whereas Panoptics here shoots straight out and it's a very narrow 20-degree beam. So when I'm fishing and I'm trying to see where a client's bait is, especially multiple, and I'm trying to control the depth and understand where they're at in relation to the fish, I can see their baits a lot better on here. Panoptics, I can see the fish moving and see how they react, and I can turn the transducer to figure that out. But with this, you'll be able to watch the fish come down, or the baits come down the screen, and you'll see these little squigglies. Now I was just in here and I paused to show you guys this. This was a school of largemouth bass that came through, and I caught one of them earlier, so I know that's what they are, but I see this all the time. But you can kind of see, what was going on. That little line right there, That was where my bait was. You can see this big school of bass move in. Some of them went down after that one was caught. A couple of them swim back up. But it paints a really good picture of what's going on underneath your boat, but within that radius of it. And you'll notice here that I have my sonar set to narrow, which in the case of, you know, most graphs, they will label it 200. And you can see down here the sonar range. But that's important to note because if you shoot a really wide range, you know, 83 kilohertz, it's going to be too wide and you're going to be picking up fish that are nowhere near, you know, underneath you. So with this, I'm picking up a much tighter range. I'm getting better target separation, but it's going to allow me to see the depth that these fish are at even when I'm not pointed directly at them. Again, with the Panoptics here, you've got to be pointed directly at the fish, you know, front or back, in order to see them. So if they're off to the side of the transducer, you're not going to pick them up. So again, utilizing both these tools, I can paint a really good picture of what's going on underneath my boat to try and be able to see what's going on down there. And as evident by this one here, you can get a really good idea when a school is coming in. And when I see marks like this with a lot of yellow in them, telling me that it's a strong return, very close to the center of the sonar beam, that gets me pretty excited. So let's back up here a little bit, see if we can catch a couple. Right now I can see them on my Panoptics. There's a bunch of them coming around my bait right now. There we go. There was a huge school. There's probably about 20 of them underneath me right now. I can see them all on the Panoptics. I wish you guys could see this from my perspective. Voila. So, those fish have moved off a little bit, but I'm going to get this guy back and see if we can get another one real quick. Oftentimes, too, if I got clients fishing, everybody will get bit as soon as one of these big schools come through. I'll show you what it looks like on the screen. That was that school of bass. Now I've got some fish underneath me too, down to 75. So there's a couple, you know, all around the water column. But when fishing this way, it's important to be patient because these fish move up and down these marinas. So you'll sit here for a while, get nothing, then all of a sudden you'll see like 20 on your screen. So it's worth it to be patient. All right, y'all, I am sitting here currently with my phone in my pocket on speakerphone talking to my wife. And I'm sitting here and this massive school comes through. And voila, look at that. Nice little pound and a halfer. All right, y'all, again, I'm on the phone. Rachel's telling me all about organizing stuff, and here we go. Ooh, that's a good one. The same thing, I'm just sitting here, and all of a sudden, you can just see them on the Panoptics. There's a shit ton of them in. There's probably 30 under my boat right now. Huge school. And look at this one. Look at that. All keeper-sized bass. So I'll switch back to the drop shot again. They seem to be preferring that. There we go. That didn't take long. Holy crap, there's like 30 of them chasing. Look at this. Look at them all. Dude, that's a big one there. There's like a 4-pounder down here. You'll see that wolf pack. Bluegill following him. See if we can bounce that out, breaking the line. Come on, Chris, come here. Oh, there we go. Another one. So as y'all can see from that video, fishing in those marinas is pretty effective. I forgot to film an outro when I was out there, and I had mentioned fishing the spoon. I tried those a bit, and at times they just won't eat that. With that Flutter Spoon, I love throwing that, but in all honesty, you don't get a lot of bites on it. But when you do, they're good ones. It's also not uncommon to catch striper doing this, so that's always a bonus. But next time you're out there on the lake, especially if it's really hot, water conditions are warm, 80-degree temperatures or more, give this a try. Get out there, find you an empty slip, and go through these baits, see what they want to hit. Use your electronics to find them, but it's a really, really fun way of fishing. If you guys book a trip with me this time of year, this is something we're going to be doing, and there's more to teach you than just what was in this video. There's a lot of little nuances, a lot of little tips about baits, plastics, how to fish the spoon, what marinas I look for, what depth of water I look for, later in the year why the thermocline develops and how to identify a thermocline to know when it's present, and where those fish will be in relation to. A lot of different things I'd like to teach you guys. So if you're interested in a trip, if you're here in the Austin area, my website is www.fish512.com. Check out my website, got a lot of cool articles on there, some fishing reports, a lot of good stuff, and if you're interested in a trip, you can book directly through there. So thank you guys for watching this. Please subscribe, give me a comment, let me know if you've ever caught fish this way, or what type of video you'd like to see in the next one. Thanks.